What's going on, YouTube? What is going on, Up Next family? I've got the man with me here, Maxim from Definder. It's so good to have you, buddy, on the channel. And we're going to bring you guys some information about the project, his background, and what's happening right now with Definder and the pre-sale that's happening right now. It's closing very soon. What's going on, Maxim? How are you?
Pleasure to be here, my man. Thanks for
Yeah,
having me.
it's good to have you, buddy. I looked at what you guys been doing in the space, and it's very, very interesting, man. How long you guys been in the space doing this?
I started in IT straight out of university.
Right.
I always loved the space. We were working quite closely with banks. I was
Mhm.
working with one of the largest banks software programs in the world. And from there, I realized how intricate and how complex all of these different processes and payments are. So I got really excited into it. And over the years, I worked with leading funds in the crypto space, including Multicoin. We were representing them in the UAE. We were one of the first private firms that were selling Multicoin to the UAE individuals when it was back in 2016, 17, when they just started.
Early.
Um, it was a very interesting conversations we had with some investors in the UAE. You can imagine they were in
Yeah.
crypto. It's never going to happen. So, and since then, I got more and more into it. I worked with a few projects in crypto space, but my heart lies in real estate and
Hmm.
in connecting the real worlds to the crypto world. Because I mean, there's a lot of negative externalities and you hear negative kind of connotation around crypto. So when you
Yeah,
say I'm from crypto world, some people don't even understand what it is. They just feel like there's been a lot of negative news and
for
propaganda as
sure.
well
For
around it.
sure.
So I mean, you
We,
probably know as well as
of
anybody.
course, we've seen some of the biggest companies in the space. We've seen the FTXs, we've seen the Celsius networks, we've seen those guys. And it does bring that negativity and I think the sort of stuff that we don't want in the crypto space because we're in the light side of crypto. They call the meme coins and the stuff the dark side of crypto. But people have to understand that there's a light side to crypto as well. There's people in the space that are actually pushing the space to that next level and making things more decentralized for you guys. So we don't have to do things the old traditional ways that we've been doing it for the past hundreds of years. Look, the world is changing, finance is changing. And what's interesting about what we got going on here with Maxim is that, look, real estate has always been that stable, safe. If you ask anybody in the world, oh, what's your safest investment portfolio? They go straight to real estate. And why do all this real estate stuff the same way we've been doing it traditionally, the hard way for so many years, when there's ways that we can do it now, much simpler, with so much more efficiency and a lot more profit margins. So when I
Transparency as well. Don't forget, it
yeah,
becomes quite transparent when you know where your money is going directly. And that's
absolutely.
why for me, when people say crypto, and probably you can relate, I always like to say I'm more in decentralized finance rather than in the crypto space
Mhm.
because crypto is such a niche part of the actual decentralized community and decentralized projects that are being launched. When we talk about real estate and coming from personal experience,
Mhm.
every time you have to deal with real estate, you have to deal with loans and mortgages. And probably some of your listeners that had to deal with banks at some level with this, they understand how big of a headache and how long and tedious all of these processes are. For me, one of the most enraging things that I experienced in my career is where we went to get the loan for acquisition of a small hotel in Milan.
Mhm.
And we go to the bank and they say it's a fixed 10% interest rate. And then when we receive a proposal and we count out all the administrative fees and all the other
Mhm.
things that they mentioned in between, it ended up being more than 15%. And then they provide the terms that are completely fake. And as long as you don't have the financial education, they'll take advantage of you.
Yeah.
And these banks have really pissed me off. And I've always been looking, is there a better way? Is there a
Mhm.
way that we can actually do something to get these scammers, because they are at the end
Mhm.
of the day scammers,
Mhm. The
out of the
biggest
market?
in the world.
Make something more transparent, more for the people, where people can decide where they invest and how they do it.
Mhm.
Transparent fees, transparent everything. You know how much money you're receiving and paying. So
Mhm.
all of this for me, it's decentralized finance. Is making it open, making it available, making it for the people essentially. As you
Mhm.
mentioned, decentralized and better than it's been in 100 years.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because I had to go through that same process just recently. I had just purchased another investment property. again, had to go through the financing, the banks, the this, private lenders. It's a crazy, crazy space, you know, and they try to play with you in a way to make you feel like you can't uh, get this. So you're gonna have to pay more of this, pay more interest, pay more fees, go to this guy. So it's a whole loophole that, you know, like you said, biggest scammers out there in the space right now are these big, big, big players that we've been traditionally using for so many years, and it just seems normal now. It feels normal to get scammed, you know?
That's a shame though,
That's a
because
shame.
when I got into this market, I mean, when I first got into real estate, I was 18 years old. In the
Hmm.
university, me and my friends, we opened a company, which was a consulting company under a university. We were mentored by our professors, and we were consulting real estate projects
Hmm.
because we were always passionate about. We wanted to get involved in the market as quickly as possible. And even then, what we realized is these banks, they would give you a loan, which would be, let's say, 10% over 20 years. And
Hmm.
you're thinking, okay, 10%, 20 years, I mean, doesn't sound too bad. I can pay these 10% during this period and I can get my own property. And they tell you, you'll have your own house. It will be all great. But what
Hmm.
they don't tell you, and what we found out quite early, it might be interesting to your investors as well, is if you look over these 20 years, you pay about 80% of your total loan in interest. The principal, so the initial down payment, is only a small fraction of what you end up paying. So you end up giving them 80% of everything instead of just paying 20% plus 10. You know what I mean?
It's
And I was
crazy.
shocked. And I was so, and these are banks, Swiss banks, big
Yeah,
banks. They're
yeah.
offering this. And I was just appalled. And since then, I always try to educate people and explain to them that there is banks are quite challenging. They
Hmm.
first of all take you for a ride. They ask you to show everything that you've ever done in your life and all your
Oh yeah.
mother's pet
Oh
name and
yeah.
everything. And at the end of this, they would make you wait. So even if you wanted to get the property that was like perfect and it's on the market, it might be gone by the time you get the loan, if you get the loan.
Hmm.
So with all of this, we decided to do something and create an ecosystem around it to help people like you and I,
Hmm.
entrepreneurs, young people, smart people, businesses as well, to find an easier, more straightforward way to get loans for real
Right.
estate or for other assets, even cars, vehicles, art,
Hmm.
maybe a retail shop. Why not? As long as you are willing and you're open and you're willing to provide specific criteria, I don't think you should be denied a loan as long as you can find the people who are willing to provide you that interest. And as intermediaries and what banks were supposed to be, is they were supposed to protect the people. They were supposed to make sure that the investment doesn't go bankrupt and not to
Absolutely.
try to maximize their returns. So
Absolutely.
for me, this is where we came up with the idea and the drive for the Definder in the first place.
Hmm. Hmm. So obviously the banks were supposed to protect us and so on and so forth, but now they got the stronghold over everybody. So now we got Definder. All right. I looked at Definder and it looked so interesting. So I want to know a little bit about it. And I know the audience is really going to dig this because people are always looking for something that they can, you know, put their money into and kind of set and forget about it, you know, and not have to keep watching it, not have to keep trying to, you know, make this thing pay back and so on and so forth. So what's kind of like the core mission behind Definder? How is this? I know it's gonna give you guys sort of and people are always looking for passive income streams, right? And I know it's gonna be a way for you guys to build that passive income stream. So what's the core mission here behind Definder to start things off?
Well, everybody's talking about passive income. You know,
Hmm.
since I was young, I was always trying to find the way to make passive income. And
Hmm.
what I realized, there's no way to do it actually. Every passive income stream requires a lot of attention.
Yeah.
So you have to always pay, you have to call, you have to control, make sure this is, if it's an apartment, make sure that it's clean and maintained, make sure the tenants are there, make sure they pay
Hmm.
on time. It's always a lot of work.
Yeah.
And once I started working with hotels, and that's when the big realization came. Hotels are operators. So companies like Hilton, Marriott, Four Seasons, big players, as you all know,
Hmm.
they don't own the properties. They operate them. And what it does, you as the owner of the property, you hire a professional team to manage, and then your property becomes your passive income because it's
Hmm.
managed by somebody who takes the head away from you. But these large properties, or even you consider any operators, are exclusive. So you can only be a part of this exclusive passive income club if you're a millionaire or you're a
Mm-hmm.
billionaire and you can
Mm-hmm.
afford these large properties, right? But over the time, crowdfunding is something that has been popping up and been more and more growing, especially in Europe,
Mm-hmm.
especially for the property market. What essentially it does, it connects retail investors, people who just want passive income in professionally operated properties and professionally operated businesses, and they just want passive interest rate for their investment every month. And
Mm-hmm.
they don't have to control it, they don't have to worry because a professional operating team is managing the property. So this is what the democratization of investments essentially is. So with decentralized finance now, it's even more acceptable than before because by allowing people to invest in USDT
Mm-hmm.
into properties directly, and I can go into a bit more detail on that afterwards, how it actually works behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
We connect the investors who want passive income directly to operating teams who want to buy properties and operate them themselves. And this is what we do. We create this connection between the two individuals who have a need. And we're trying to do it as transparently and openly as possible.
Wow.
So,
Wow, wow, wow. And at the same time, we're using blockchain technology, the DeFi space to tie this all together, which makes it so much more decentralized, so much more easier. And, it makes me wonder how does that, because I've seen, I have seen it in the past. I've been in the crypto space for a really long time, and I have seen other projects attempt this in the space as far as tokenization of real estate and making that connection with the blockchain. So how do you see yourself, against the competition in the space, and how does Definder kind of stand out in the DeFi space compared to some of these other platforms that are out there?
so I'll say something a bit controversial here,
Mm-hmm.
but tokenization is dead. Tokenization, as long as you hear tokenization, I would stay away from this. I've been through tokenization, and we were one of the first projects, just so that you know, in the world to tokenize a real estate property worth 1,250,000 in the UK with the FCA approval. So the financial regulator allowed us to be the first project to tokenize a real estate property. For those who have talked about real estate and heard about real estate, and real estate tokenization is something that is completely expensive and out of this world uncontrollable. Because if we talk about the core of tokenization, and this is legit insider information for you,
Mm-hmm.
you take the property, right? And then you have to put this property in the control of a company.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to issue shares in this company that tells you how much this property is worth.
Right.
The question is, who values the property? If it's the same company that essentially put that property in the portfolio, they can say whatever value this property is. But today, to properly do it, you need to have an auditor, which is an
Mm-hmm.
expensive and large firms like
Mm-hmm.
KPMG to come in and review the property and provide the valuation, which costs you at least 50K per property. So incredibly complex. And then if one of the tokenized people who own that tokenized property wants to sue because it feels like it's been somehow scammed or didn't receive their payment, the whole property will be put on hold. So
Mm-hmm.
if one of the 1,000 people decides to sue the property, nobody can get their money out. It's such a crazy risk.
Holy shit. Okay. I didn't. Okay, so
It's such a
so now
crazy.
that makes sense why you even did that whole pivot from tokenization to decentralized lending.
It's just a crazy risk that we didn't
Wow.
want to take. Plus, a lot of regulators don't even control it. So, a lot of people don't know this, but probably their regulation does not apply to tokenized assets. They can own tokenized shares, but it wouldn't mean they own it. Their government doesn't recognize it as they own it. So, there's a lot of these difficult things that have not been really said out loud. Everybody's talking that it's a future. The way that I see it's the real future is actual decentralized finance. So what
Right.
decentralized finance is you use blockchain technology, as you said, to record the transactions, but you control it through the smart contract, which is essentially a lending contract. It would mean that you and another party sign a debt. So you say, can you loan me some money? You say, here you go. Can you guarantee it somehow? Here's the smart contract. And as you know, smart contracts are recognized as contracts almost everywhere around the world. So if the
Mm-hmm.
guy doesn't pay you back, you go to court, you say, hey, he owes me money, and here's the
Mm-hmm.
contract.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the digital copy, plus there is a real copy as well. Here it is. And then you can get your money back from him, either through court or directly by themselves. So it's much more straightforward, not as expensive, does the same thing exactly. You own a part of a property that pays you back interest. However, it's not fixed, it's not a part of the profit. It's just always a fixed monthly rate that you get paid from that property as a loan. So for me, this is why we pivoted towards the actual idea of decentralized finance. And we created the ecosystem around due diligence on the companies and sharing the due diligence openly for the people, registering the investments in the smart contract and making sure that payments will be done automatically every month to the wallet of every investor that is putting the money into that
Wow.
smart contract. And on top of this, we have insurance pools that if the property doesn't pay you enough money
Mm-hmm.
or they have some difficulties to pay one interest rate, we cover that gap in time from our funds that we put as insurance. And lastly, we also take collateral. So we don't just say it's a property. If they
Mm-hmm.
buy a property, we have the rights to that property, and the community has the rights to this property until the full loan is repaid. So we secure it on three levels on the platform, and then we secure it legally on the fourth way. And we try to do this so that people can kind of put their money and breathe out. Because
Mm-hmm.
if they put the money in and they know that they're getting 10% every month, and it just kind of arrives to their wallet, and they know that if something happens, they have these levels of protection that they know sooner or later they'll get their money back plus interest.
Holy smokes. So, okay, guys, this makes a lot more sense for me now. So, how does this then? So, obviously, you guys did this pivot from tokenization to decentralized lending. Um, how does this reflect, the market trends that we're seeing in the space right now?
Oh, 100%. If you look at all the top companies in the tokenization, you can look back at every tokenization platform, and I study
Mhm.
our competitors quite a bit. Most of them are either now saying, we can do tokenization for you. We're not going to do it ourselves, but we can do it for you. You've probably seen it.
Of
Or
course,
they're
of
doing
course,
they're
of
doing
course.
some things which are revolving around white label tokenization platform. Buy our software to tokenize your properties. Or which I see is a legitimate business model
Mhm.
is tokenization marketplaces. That's a very interesting model for the tokenized assets already because
Mhm.
you just list all the tokenized properties on one platform, centralize it for the investors, and then they can invest in these properties themselves and they can choose whichever property they like. That business model is quite good, and a lot of the competitors like PropChain and DG Shares are actually focusing on this. But what I do see a lot is people are opening liquidity pools and they're opening direct
Mm.
investment pools, which are structured as a debt. So you have
Mhm.
fixed interest rate, and you get your interest rate paid on a monthly basis. You get
Mhm.
your money in your wallet, 10% fixed above the staking on USDT. So
Right.
you're getting more percentage returns than you would if you would just stake USDT. Plus, you
Right.
invest in something that is protected. And this is where I see the market is going towards. Plus, with the Trump taking office and his whole view on decentralized finance and that Bitcoin will overtake the gold standard,
Mhm.
I think we're about to enter the new golden age in real estate. But this time it will be in decentralized and stable tokens. We think that majority of projects will be financed through decentralized finance.
Yeah.
The standard will be Bitcoin, and then on top of this, it would be Tether and USDC.
Yeah.
And I feel
Yeah.
like majority of real estate projects will be financed this way. It's just simpler, faster, and less headache.
Wow. It's interesting when you say, Trump's taking office early next year. Guys, there's a lot, and Trump is so for Bitcoin. There's a lot that's going to be happening in the space as far as the growth of the DeFi space, as far as the growth of the crypto space, and more of those stable cryptos, like you said, the USDTs, the stable guys. I know a lot of you guys like to gamble your lives away on meme coins and shit, but look, if you're looking for something that's real stable, if you're looking for something that's real legit, you have to go after projects that are here for the growth of the DeFi space and the crypto space altogether, using that technology for good, not for degenning. You know what I mean? So that's, and I
Have
see
you
it
seen the
so
kid?
often.
Have you seen the 13-year-old kid or 9-year-old kid
Yes,
from the
Quant,
US?
that
Oh my
sucker, Quant.
God. Oh, epic, epic. It's
Look,
always surprising to me.
you know what I mean? If you and you know, like people aren't even mad at that stuff anymore. It's such a big meme now in the space to be degenning on stuff like quant that people can't even get mad at them. Like it's your fault,
A
right?
meme of meme coins.
Like the
Exactly.
meme
That's
of
the
meme
show.
coins, right? It's
Exactly. It's becoming a meme to try to meme the meme coins. It's like triple level. I
like it's
love it.
literally your fault now. You know what I mean? If you're getting into stuff like this, nobody feels bad for you, all right? Um, but now we see a lot of real world assets, becoming part of this DeFi growth. And I know that you're a huge believer of real world asset financing being that critical part of DeFi's growth. Why do you feel that way, that it's going to be such a huge part of DeFi's growth?
Well, to be very straightforward with you, I always think that countries that need the investments the most, they don't get banks behind them. So let's say if we look at, for example, African continent and countries like Tanzania, which maybe not a lot of people know about. Tanzania has the same beaches as Maldives. It's the same ocean,
Hmm.
just a bit on the other side of the world. Same water, same ocean, same
Yeah.
beaches. I've been there.
Yeah.
And you look at these beaches, and it's the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. And I'm asking my local friends that are hotel owners in Tanzania, why is there not more hotels here? Why is there no more properties here? Why is this so empty? Why is there not enough investments? He goes like, our banks don't know what they're doing. International banks don't want to take the risk. But when I go there and private investors go there, we all light up because we see the pure potential. And then the idea starts to become, how can we get more people behind this? How can we surpass banks? How can we get the credit lines to develop these countries? How can we develop Ukraine after war? How can we
Wow.
develop countries like that you require financial aid, for example, Venezuela or Brazil or Bali as well? There's a lot of these poor regions that could use a lot of investments, but banks don't like this because they consider it as risk. But we see this major opportunity all around the world. And if you speak to private investors, fund managers, bankers, they're aware of these, but their compliance officers and other people in the bank just don't allow for these. But the opportunity is there. When you could make 4% on real estate, for example, in Europe, and maybe 10 to 15% in the US on real estate, you can make 40, 70% in Tanzania in a year. Because the
Oh,
cheap
wow.
labor, a lot of Europeans are willing to pay premium prices for whatever real estate are there.
Hmm.
Even rich Middle Eastern people are traveling
Hmm.
to Africa as well during the summer to enjoy a bit colder climate. And they're willing to pay these premium prices for accommodation, for restaurants, for everything. And this is just one example of one continent where we can see these major opportunities.
Wow.
And the whole, overall, the debt market is I believe, a $12 trillion market, if I'm not lying. $12 trillion market
Holy.
in the private space. And all of this is financed through three or four banks. So why can't there be a platform that is using USDT, which is essentially the same as dollar, to finance now these opportunities, which are all over the world? And there's no need for banks. All the decisions can be made by the people. If the platform, so the way that we structure the platform is we say, we post the project first on the voting, and whoever has access and registered on the platform can vote. And you
Hmm.
can and you can increase your vote power by simply staking the tokens, which is also
Mm.
another passive way to generate revenue. But
Wow.
you stake your token, you increase your vote power, and you choose which projects you think are too risky or are good enough. And as long as your vote is made, we will make sure that every person has a voice, and these properties will be chosen together.
And
And
it's
as
being
soon as
set.
it's chosen, we post it on the marketplace. So even if you voted for the property, but you don't have the funds to invest in it, you can still help make a decision. So all of these opportunities and the growth that it provides, I think it's just a lot that could be done. On top of this, there's so many other things that could be improved. There's so many different interesting ideas that could be developed. When we talk about automated retail, automated shops, private jets that are in high demand, probably you and your listeners have some good ideas that you would love to realize that just make sense on
Hmm.
paper and business plan, but you don't have enough resources, or the bank wouldn't listen to you, or you're too young, or your parents are not from as wealthy region as some of your friends to realize this through family, friends. But if you have a good idea, you have a good business plan, and you see that you can make great returns, you can come to us as well, and we can help you with the financing. So it's kind of on both sides. And I can see we can help a lot of people. We can help a lot of countries. We can essentially create a massive ecosystem around this.
Wow. Okay, so there's like unlimited opportunity in this space now. Look, I gotta get tied in with the Definder team on this, man. I feel like I could be making a lot more money than I am investing by myself like this. Holy. So obviously knowing that this is gonna be absolutely massive, knowing that the space is always talking about stuff like this everywhere, what do we get involved in? What are some prospects? What are some things that we can invest in? According to you, obviously there's tons of opportunity in poorer countries that don't have that money for development, that don't have the financing to be able to accommodate, the way they should be accommodating. Tanzania got waters like Maldives. Shit, there's a lot of money lying there for one example, right? But for yourself, I know you guys do a lot of market research. I know you guys have a lot of market insights. Are you able to, share a little bit about, some of the prospects in the space for people to pay attention to? I know that, if you get into the platform, if you guys, especially the pre-sale is on right now, all the links will be down in the description for you guys to check out the pre-sale and find out more information about the project itself. But the pre-sale is on right now. Pick up some tokens, you get the governance behind it, you have the staking capabilities so you can start earning right off the bat. But what are some of the prospects? What are some of the stuff that you guys are looking at in terms of that we should be paying attention to?
I think this would be another insight, even for you. I think
Yeah, give me, give me.
there's quite a lot of super interesting real estate opportunity. And when we
Really?
talk about super interesting, is let's say you invest in real estate a little bit, right?
Yeah.
You dabble. What would say, when you pick your real estate interest rates, what would you say is a good return for your investment for you?
Honestly, well, you know what? If you know about how things have been in my region, it has not been good. The interest rates have gone through the roof. They've literally 3x'd due to our leadership and stuff like that and how things have been going. So my personal investments have not been doing great due to the fact that the interest rates have gone up so high and I had variable interest rates, so they've skyrocketed, right? But normally in a decent market, uh, anywhere between 5% to 7% would be something good. Uh,
So I looked at over 3,000 projects over
mhm,
2.5 years that I was working with family offices and funds. It's basically financial institutions. I
mhm,
look at a lot of different projects. And then I had a few projects that really stood out to me, I always liked them. And these were real estate projects that I considered genius
mhm,
and super easy to set up, and they can generate a lot of money. So three verticals that I love the most right now. These are the
mhm,
three my top. One is Uber and Meta economy type
oh,
businesses. So one business that we've been following closely, it's one of our biggest partners right now, and we believe quite a lot that we can scale with them. It's 𝐬𝐿𝐻𝐂𝐈𝐄𝐃. It's
mhm,
a company which is a subsidiary of Uber in Ukraine. But in Ukraine, they had a fleet of 140 cars.
right,
These were Skoda, Volvo, these like not too expensive cars, maybe
mhm,
10,000, 12,000 max. But what they did, which was genius, is they were taking these cars and they were allowing drivers to lease it from them. And the drivers would
oh,
lease the cars from them, and then they would pay a percentage of their earnings as well to the platform.
wow,
On top of this, they created a consumer reward program, meaning
mhm,
the more drivers drive, they have cheaper gas, they have cheaper service, etc. But the beauty in all of this, the price of a car is 10K. Each month, a driver would pay 2K back to the company. So you can understand what the profit margins in this. And they had a fleet of 140 cars. And then after a year, the driver has the right to buy the vehicle back. So
wow,
it's an incredible business model, and it works because the Uber drivers, they make around 4,000 per month in
yeah,
general. So
yeah,
this is their profit margin. If they're getting cheaper gas, that's even more profit
mhm,
margin.
mhm,
Amazing business model. And we already raised the first 75,000 for them this month alone, or last month.
mhm,
And they used it to acquire 4 vehicles, which are now on the road already, and they're generating returns for our investors now. And they manage the companies, they manage the drivers, they manage the cars, they set them up, they work with Uber. So I love this business model. If you can find some good drivers and you can lease the cars, that's an incredible 30 to maybe 50% profit margin if you are a leasing company per year, easily.
That's incredible.
Second business model, which I love as well, it's glamping. I don't know if you've heard of glamping.
Glamping? No, I don't think
It's
so.
glamorous camping. And that's where the origin of this
Glamping.
incredible word comes from. Yeah.
Glamping.
So the idea of glamping is, instead of building a hotel, you can just put like a van that has a home, right? Or right now there are these domes and homes that
Oh,
are
yes,
being
I've seen
pre-made.
those things. They look so
Okay.
cool.
First of all, they're super cool. I
Hmm.
stayed in one. I stay in those all the time. But the
Hmm.
beauty of it is the price of this home is around 35,000. And if you list them on Airbnb in a beautiful location, and you can get an occupancy to around 60%, not even high occupancy, 60% per year, you'll pay it back within 6 months. Because an average price per night is around $300 per night. If you create a cool experience around it, if you do something well with it, that's another level to it, where you can add it to the price, where you can make it into a real experience, where you might have some people that come in and cook for you, or you have some tour guides that
Oh
show you
my
in the forest.
God, man.
Incredible business model. And the best part about it, it's real estate is expensive because the land is expensive.
Hmm.
But most of these glampings are considered movable homes. So
Hmm.
they don't need to buy the land, they can rent the land and they can
Wow.
place it there.
Wow.
And then it could be moved within a month. So it's not even considered that you don't need to buy a house, you don't need to buy a land. You just buy a pre-made house that comes and it's ready in a month. And then after a month, it's all about you and getting those bookings in the door. Incredible business model. I love it. And the experience is amazing as well.
Wow.
And then the third vertical, which I think is also the future. I can see you, Jim, right? You're quite a fit guy,
I'm
right? I
trying.
mean, you
I'm
dabble
really
a bit. I can see.
getting it a little bit.
Well, I like to. I try to keep up my appearance as well. I mean, I
Yeah.
love to distress after work. You know,
Yeah.
you go to the gym,
Yeah.
and for me, the problem is a lot of times the gyms have closing hours, and then there's this new technology which is staffless gyms.
Hmm.
And basically, you log in with an app, and you just scan the QR code, and you can just go in through a revolving door, and you pay a membership which is 10 times cheaper than what you pay for the gym, because the highest cost for them is staff.
Is the staffing? Yeah.
So you just build a staffless gym. You have it open 24/7, all holidays, every time of night. People can enter with an app, and you can have so many people just download this app and build
Yeah.
this model out as well. I love staffless gyms, not only for me,
That's
but
so
it's a
useful
beautiful
for,
business.
even busy people that are just on the go, that either can't gym at a certain hour, or want to gym at a certain hour. That is so useful to have a
So
established gym.
right now we have the cars, which is the highest return vertical that we have right now,
Right.
already open on the platform and up for people to invest in. This is with a tested company that we already lent money to. We know them quite well. That's what we also do. We try to bring the companies that we know, and we do the due diligence on them. We show all the KYCs, by the way. We show identity behind the people. We show the business plans, all the socials, everything. It's all out in the open. We try to be as transparent as possible with the people who are investing the money inside our project.
Hmm.
And then we have the glamping, which is now being voted on. We listed it to vote a few days ago.
Hmm.
There's a beautiful glamping resort as well. And then we're looking to build a glamping one as well in Dubai, another one. And then we're looking to do staffless gyms around Europe. And this is just a few business models which are more creative and higher interest rate, right? Not 4%. We're talking 20 to 30 to 40% a year on
Wow.
real estate assets, which are collateralized, right?
Wow.
And this is for investors to get their money in debt. So you have, as I said, levels of, so for me, you can't find things like this on the market. You get them through knowing these verticals. And I was blessed enough to, work and see these interesting business models. And we're
Hmm.
not even talking about, ghost kitchens. We're not talking about drone deliveries. We're not talking about, Amazon and resellers. There's so many verticals which are being driven by creative people, like even Alex Mondrosi, right? He's
Hmm.
doing a
Hmm.
lot of these interesting verticals, and a lot of his members are just generating ideas and content, and it's all
Hmm.
interesting. and it still all needs financing. So either you get it from a friend, either you get it from a bank, or you're from your parents, or you find a platform that can offer you this service. So this is where I see, and I mean, I've been talking for a while. I'm sorry about this if
Oh
I
man, you're this is the thing that I love though about yourself specifically, Maxim. You're not just, the regular guy that launched a project or the crypto nerd that launched this project. No, man, you're a very entrepreneurial type of person, and that entrepreneurial mindset not only helps the vision of the project, but helps the people around you too. When when we're involved with your project, when we're involved with what you're doing, we can see that, look, this guy's thinking 10 steps ahead. So it's really, really refreshing to actually see that. And I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours. I know on YouTube it gets a little bit long, but we could sit here and talk about different investment portfolios and things that
maybe
we
we
do
do a
for hours.
podcast sometime, man. I'll be
Yeah, man.
happy to
We
have people join in. Maybe
And
people
we
will
gotta
have.
we gotta link up, man. We gotta link up sometime. Hopefully, if the stars align, we get to link up somewhere and we set up in a studio and do a live podcast as well. Because I love to do that
I would love
and
that,
get,
man.
yeah, for sure, for sure. And now looking at what you're saying, looking at your, realizing from the beginning of conversation, even we had a little bit of chat off camera as well. I noticed that Maxime has that really entrepreneurial mindset. So I'm really interested to see. And I know a lot of people get into projects or buy tokens because they believe that the value is going to go up and they're going to be able to sell it in 6 months or a year and make some profits off that. There's all sorts of investors that get involved with different projects. You got the average Joe investor, you got the investor that gets in for the technology, you got the investor that gets in for the token, for the staking, for the token price, the value going up over time. So there's all sorts of different people that are going to be looking at this. There's all sorts of different people that are going to put money into this. What's kind of the vision behind Definder for the next, I don't know, year, 2 years, or even up to 5 years? And what you guys are really looking to do in that next, year, 2 or 5 years, to push this thing to the next level? And how is that going to look for the investors?
Well, a year timeline is quite interesting because
Mhm.
we're looking to scale quite a bit. We have all of these interesting verticals, and I'm telling you, we have like 15, 20 projects that are looking for finance today, and we're telling them no because we are looking to get the ball rolling. We're looking to make sure that everything runs as smoothly as possible. And then we want to scale to 100 million within the next year, and maybe to 300 million within the next year. And when I say 300 million, meaning not in market cap, but in investments that we run through the platform. So we are working with some big chains in the vehicle space. We're working with
Mhm.
some big chains in the real estate space. And with these chains, when we have the right tools and the right regulation that is coming in, hopefully with Trump,
Mhm.
we'll make sure that we can finance and work with projects like Marriott,
Wow.
like Hilton, like Uber. That would be the ideal situation where we can bring these big players on board. But this is speculative, so I'd like to keep it down to earth. Our plan is we want to launch with a project that we know quite well, and we
Mhm.
want to show great results to our investors. So we have trust and they understand that they can make passive income, and they can
Mhm.
also have the compounding. As probably a lot of people know about, Warren Buffett and his
Of course.
compounding method. Compounding is how most people become millionaires.
Mhm.
And this is what we want to do. And we want to offer it not through, as I said, verticals which are quite risky with Tether and with all of these staking and
Mhm.
meme coins. We want to do it through something that has value in the real world and could be taken into on court if anything is necessary, like real, something that is tangible.
Mhm.
So we want to help people create this compounding. We want to help them generate this return on their investment so the money
Mhm.
starts working for the people. The vision for me is I want to start working with the projects that we have, further develop the technology, make the liquidity pools, which
Mhm.
will allow people to invest even more passively without
Mhm.
having to select which individual project they want to invest in, but so that they can just add the money to the pool. And then the professionals and the fund managers from our side will be choosing where these investments go, and we will guarantee a monthly return on these investments in the specific pools. On top of this, we want to create lotteries and we want to actually invite people from the crypto world to join us in the real world. And to those that invest, for example, in real estate properties or in glamping, Would love to give them chance to go to Bali if they invested in that property. And we talked
Hmm.
with a lot of property managers to say, hey, if we provide you the capital, we want 1 week a year that our investors can travel there. So we can invite the
Yeah.
people to
Wow.
go to the real world. And I want to connect this more and more. And we want to work with regulators to get this system behind us and make sure that the investments are registered properly all over the world. And then we can invest in Bali and we can invest in Africa, and we can invest all over the world.
We gotta
So
send these
it's the
guys out to
project.
the. We gotta send them out to the Bali time chamber. Get them right.
Oh, 100%. They gotta stay in silence for a bit, you know. That's the goal. But that's the vision. Why can't it be like this? Why hasn't it been done like this? For me, that's the question. Why nobody really built a banking kind of infrastructure around this whole thing and show people that what they're investing in is real and tangible, and they can travel there, they can see it, you know. But the biggest goal for me is to make something that people can trust, we can
Mhm.
scale, we can help people build good businesses, and we can make sure that people's investments are secure. And we're going to do this on multiple levels, and there's always improvements that could be done. I don't like to, say that we have everything ideal. We're
Mhm.
working every day quite hard to make sure that
Amazing.
we improve and we listen to feedback, and we try to build something that would scale later on. As every project knows, Facebook wasn't built in a day, Amazon wasn't built in a day, right? So our vision today is just to focus on good projects and good investors. And in the future, we'll try to make it fun. We'll try to make it real. Hopefully,
Looking
we'll make it
forward.
as simple as possible. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Honestly, I'm looking forward to that. I'm gonna be following Definder closely myself. I'm gonna be looking into investing into it because I already know that Maxim has big plans for you guys, and I can't wait. And you mentioned one thing that actually spiked my interest in the security of platforms. Obviously, when it comes to collecting money, and in some cases a lot of money, there's going to be major concerns when it comes to the finance, when it comes to the DeFi aspect of it in general. How do you, assure your investors, assure the people that have their funds in there to feel safe with their funds? What are the steps, what are the measures that you guys are taking to assure that transparency and that trust in the market where, especially in a market where we see, a lot of scams, where we see a lot of people, and I'm not even talking about the little guys, I'm talking about the big guys, I'm talking about the FTXs, I'm talking about some of the biggest guys, the Celsius networks that were multi-billion dollar companies, pull out and leave a lot of people hurting. How do you assure against, having more transparency in this space to ensure that nothing like that is ever going to happen?
Well, it's a great question, to be honest,
Hmm.
because this is something that we're trying to make sure that we have covered. As I mentioned, this is kind of a priority for us to make sure that the security of the investments for the people is there.
Of
So,
course, of course.
first of all, let's start with the tech security, right?
Right.
The smart chain vulnerabilities have been tested time and time again. Our platform is built on BNB chain,
Hmm.
so Binance Smart Chain, which has been proven to be the one of the top three reliable chains. So
Hmm.
all of these attacks, of 51% attack, and all of these things are essentially zero risk, and it's been proven by auditing companies and all the tech guys from the space. So it's quite easy to make sure that the chain remains secure. So everything that we build on chain, we make sure that it's been properly integrated and secure.
Hmm.
On
Hmm.
top of this, I mean, there's always the risk that comes from the project. That's where the biggest risk is, right? So when we
Hmm.
talk about real estate, when we talk about investments, you always need to make sure that the project is secure. And this is where we do the 4 steps, as I mentioned. There's multiple levels, right? So on the first level, we make sure that the project provides collateral. So let's say, I'll give an example of the vehicle company, Yaskrava, that we are currently have listed. So every vehicle they have acquired is currently belongs to us as an
Hmm.
entity. So we have a lawyer that took charge and he became a collateral agent, meaning until they repay all vehicles, he can take ownership of these vehicles at any moment. And because these are liquid vehicles, you can go in the marketplace and sell them. He can sell them at any moment and give back the investments to the investors. Second part is the insurance pool, right? So we put our own money as well. The money from the pre-sale is going towards the insurance pool, which is 100 to 200,000 that we will allocate. And this insurance pool will be done there. So during the period that he actually goes and, let's say, sells the vehicles, we use the money to pay back the interest to the investors, meaning they don't lose any money. We just pay them back.
Hmm.
Uh, Additionally, there's of course a risk. What if he can't sell the vehicles and everything goes bottoms up and the insurance pool runs out.
Hmm.
In this case, there is a smart contract and there is a loan contract that we have with the company. And in this loan contract, it says that if he cannot pay back the interest, he is personally responsible to pay it back with his own assets or with the assets of his company. So if everything else fails,
Wow.
we inform our investors and we say, hey guys, the pool ran out, none of this managed to go, but we're going to court and he'll pay it over the period of, let's say, 3 or 4 years. And
Hmm.
our investors don't have to work, like do any actions against it.
Hmm.
We know that they are investors and they will get paid according to the conditions of the smart contract by the time that the court session is over. And these court sessions
Wow.
are quite quick. So on all of these levels, that's what we're trying to do. And we're trying to provide this full spectrum security as we could do it, right? I cannot think of anything else we could do to assure more security for our investors. So
Wow.
that's basically how we do it. And then there's the last risk, which is the currency risk, right? What
Hmm.
happens if, let's say, you invest in today and then the currency could become zero by the end of the year? Well, because we use Tether as primary investments, we don't take investments in our tokens. We actually take in USDT so that anybody can join. You don't have to be a token holder to invest in the project.
Amazing.
All you need is some Tether on BNB, and you can enter them into smart contract. And then later on as well, by the way, it's going to be through any cryptocurrency you want. We're partnering up with some crypto banks so that they can convert it and we can register it in any currency. But that's besides the point. So what we allow is essentially, if you believe in US dollar, you shouldn't worry about the currency. So that's the way that I see it. And that's the way we try to make sure that the security is there.
That's incredible, man. So, look, as far as security, safety, and everything, I could listen to you talk about this stuff all day because it's a huge concern. It's a huge factor in the space, and it looks like all the bases are covered. And look, I'm gonna go big. Honestly, personally, myself, I'm gonna go big on this because I really believe in the vision. I really believe in what you guys are doing, and I love what you guys are doing. And I want to talk about this consistently. I want to showcase, once the portfolios are launched, once we start bringing some numbers in, I want to start being able to showcase these opportunities to you guys. And this is why we even have these, AMAs. This is why we have these conversations, because I want you guys to be aware, well aware of the good opportunities that are in the space, the light side of crypto, and not have to look into all the shit coins, not have to be sitting there on pump funds trying to make your money, because it doesn't work that way. You know what I mean? So this is why we have these conversations, and I want to do more than that. I want to, I'm so happy, and I really appreciate you, Maxim, giving us this time, because Maxim is a busy guy, man. I'm telling you, this guy, every minute of the day counts for him. So having these conversations, bringing him to the channel, bringing him to our million audience on YouTube alone, is really important. So this huge side of crypto, and the million people that watch this channel, all of you guys are well versed in the crypto space. We're not noobs in the crypto space. Yeah, we've been getting involved in different stuff. A lot of you guys I was one of the first people on YouTube to talk about DeFi in general years and years ago. So a lot of the people that have gotten involved with us back then have made a lot of money with us over the years. And this is another one of those opportunities. This is one of those, again, on the brinks of taking off. We're going into 2025. Bitcoin's at all-time high. Ethereum's at all-time high. The guys are on BSC, which you're not paying fees. When you're dealing with BSC, you're not paying any fees, man. It's minuscule. So I really like the fact that you guys are on Binance Smart Chain as well. But there's a lot of challenges that come in this space, especially with building out a project, especially with taking it to the levels that you're going to be taking it. And that's kind of what I want to know a little bit about as well, is what challenges have you faced personally in the space? And I asked this question from many different people. And if you guys go to my channel, you see I've had tons of interviews with tons of different founders, and they always answer this differently. So it's interesting for me to know what are some of the different difficulties or different road bumps that you had to overcome, building Defender.
Do you want to
And
know this week or in general?
this is the thing, man. You don't understand the blood, sweat, and tears that go into building something legit in this space.
I can tell you from this week alone. No, but jokes aside, I think one of the biggest is just the mindset of people.
Hmm.
I've came to so many issues where I'm trying to talk about something, interesting and in depth and try to provide these insights. And I just need by people's doing these AMA sessions, or I did
Uh-huh.
interviews on TV and different ministries. I presented quite a lot to a lot of people, and I
Yeah.
get the response like, "Huh, okay, moving on." And for me, this is so frustrating a lot of times because I love talking about it. I'm
Yeah.
really passionate about
Yeah.
this whole industry, and there's so many incredible opportunities to be had. But when you're met with, I don't mind criticism, I don't mind challenging, and when people telling me you're wrong and this is the right way, but when people just don't care, that to me is like the worst. But of course, we dealt with a lot of scammers. We had some of our developers that, took the money and ran, and
Mhm.
we had to quickly find new ones.
It's
We
always
had
the devs, right? It's always the dirty freaking devs.
devs, marketers, we had incompetent people, we had people that took some money and then they chose the wrong chain, and because of this, there was a delay and we couldn't do the certain thing. And a lot of these things fall on actually scammers. We had one company that, to me, I'd be happy to share it, but there's this one chat that reached out to us and like, "Hey, I really love your idea. I want to talk to you. I want to get to know more. Our community really wants this. Would you like to kind of speak to us?" Like, sure, yes, I would like. Let's try to sit down and talk. And during this period, they said, you have to pay us 1,000 euros, or we will tell everybody your project is a scam, and we'll tell all of our community you're a scam, and we'll just tell you're a scam. And I'm like, why? He's like, because you have to pay us now. And this happens so many
That's
times that people
crazy.
just no, but it's so weird to me because I try to
Yeah.
be honest and open and I try to respect people's time. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of these people that are just trying to take advantage, and it's not that big of an issue. Like, I know we're not a scam, and I mean, and I know we're positioning a bit differently, but still having these, small people trying to create big issues is always it's
That's the
always
space,
frustrating
man.
because
But you know what
it
it is,
is.
Maxim? Is if no one is talking bad about you, if no one's out here trying to ruin your name, then you're just not big enough yet. So that's what I always say, and you realize that being an influencer in this space and being a big voice in this space is that if people aren't talking shit about you and trying to ruin your reputation for their own, gain, then you just haven't made it big enough yet. So,
Well, but to be honest, one of the biggest frustrations outside of the actual crypto is the regulation because it's not been defined. So it's basically build a regulation.
hmm
It's kind of everybody chooses how they're going to approach it, but it's challenging in a lot of ways because we want to do it right, but nobody can tell us what is the right way to do it. They just say
hmm
you have to do it correctly. And then we have to define what correctly is, and we have to work within the parameters that we do. Getting the right licenses, it's also a challenge because there's not really a license. We don't take money from people. We are
hmm
taking the votes from people, and
hmm
people decide where they want to invest. So we're
hmm
not a fund, we're not a broker, we're just providing a connection between the two parties. So with these kind of things, it also creates its challenges, but we want to get licensed as soon as possible. We want to be licensed maybe in the US or in Dubai and maybe in Europe as soon as possible, but they have to create the regulation for us to get the right license. So that has been a frustrating thing is, you want to be as legit as possible, but they don't tell you what license you need to get. That's also kind of a weird position to be in.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the challenges don't stop. You know what I mean? It's a whole list, you guys, and that's normal. Being in the space, building a project that you're trying to actually change, basically the world, change the way how investments work, is gonna be faced with so many challenges, especially regulatory ones. And what we're here to do, and what Definder's here to do, is overcome those challenges. And obviously, with a guy like Maxim behind the project, I believe everything is going to be a-okay. Now, one thing that we did talk about and you did mention is that people don't need to own the token to invest. People can invest with USDT Tether. Um, so that brings me on to the pre-sale. Obviously, we got a pre-sale going on for the token
Yeah.
itself. Um, so what's kind of the role of the token as far as the ecosystem, and why is it something that people should be investing in to begin with?
So coming from traditional finance background, I wanted to give power to people as the decentralization has been preaching for years. You've
hmm
been talking about it a lot as well, I noticed. So the token is essentially the voting. It's kind of the shares of the company, right? So what are the shares? When you
Governance.
buy stock, Apple stock, or when you buy Microsoft stock, you buy because you believe the company will start growing. It will generate more profits, more revenues. It will have more projects. It will just grow and scale. So not only did I want to allow people to grow with us through the investments that we offer, but I also wanted people to have a voice within the company and grow with us with the company together. So the role of the token, it allows you to partake in the bonuses that we take from our revenues and profits from the company. So we provide these bonuses in additional tokens, or we generate additional staking rewards. We allow voting power to be used. Additionally, those tokens that are being staked within the system will be given to people as rewards, lottery rewards, gamification rewards, where we allow people to stay in these amazing hotels that we invest in, or we'll allow people to maybe participate in a Lambo drive
Nice.
giveaway or something.
Nice.
So we want to make sure that these tokens actually become like a part of the company. So everything that holders own, they can say, I'm a part of this company, I own shares. So that's essentially shares of the company. The most direct one is staking rewards, which will
Stake.
be giving out to token holders. And even if you don't want to stake your token, but you want to participate in the voting, you can just stake your token, vote, and then unstake them immediately. There will be no
Wow.
penalties
Okay.
and no additional fees. So we just want to make sure that even if you don't want to stake the token for a long period of time and you want to just, be a speculative investor, I don't mind that. The different people have different strategies.
Right.
As long as you're following yours, all the power to you.
That's
But we do
amazing.
want people to participate in decision making. The staking contract will be live as soon as we do the TGE. We're going to be listing on multiple exchanges at the same time, and the staking contract will be live. All the voting will be live. The distribution is happening directly to the wallet as well. So we're trying to make sure it's as simple as straightforward as possible for our investors. And Definder is essentially the governance. It's essentially the shares of the company. That's the way that I see the token.
Wow, that's incredible, man. Honestly. So I'm gonna be picking up a bag of this token. Where can we get to the pre-sale? Obviously, we got the Definder website. When we go on the website, how do people join the pre-sale? Just so I can link it directly down below so nobody has to do any looking.
In big fat letters on top, it's written pre-sale. You can click on that.
Boom.
We try to put everything that is there. We also integrate it with the random payment processing so that
Nice.
all the payments can be in different tokens, and it's a big payment processing company.
Mhm.
Their API is directly on the platform, so you know that it's checked and your investment will be secure. As soon as you register your investment, you can either send it directly on the wallet. There you can
Mhm.
just copy a wallet address and do the payment,
Mhm.
or you can work through Rhythm API and they kind of direct you to it. And then you should receive a confirmation email as soon as you made the investment. And we will be sending another confirmation email to make sure that you mentioned the right wallet, that you have all the right details so that we can make the distribution and you get your investment in the right amount at the right time.
Wow. Okay. So all of this stuff, guys, is going to be linked down below for you guys. You can connect your wallet. You can start picking up these tokens. The pre-sale is on right now. When is the pre-sale closing, Maxim?
It's closing in 10 days.
10 days. More than enough time for you guys to absolutely bombard it, sell it out, because I want to see what you guys can do, man. And this is serious stuff. I'm gonna be picking up a bag myself. I'm gonna be talking about this consistently over the next couple months and see how our bag is doing, how opportunities are gonna align for us in the space with Definder. And hopefully we can link up with our man Maxim here in the new year, sit down, we're gonna do some off-camera activities, of course, go out a little bit, but we're gonna sit down in a studio and talk about what's going on, what's gonna be happening in the next few months. Obviously, especially after the pre-sale's over, there's gonna be a lot of moving parts, and I really wanna be a part of it, and hopefully I can talk about this more often for you guys. What do you think about
And one
that?
more thing as well for your community. If any of you has cool ideas that they want to finance, please feel free to reach out to me in our group or directly. I'm always happy to hear entrepreneurs speak and the ideas that you can share. Maybe there is some interesting ideas that you guys have that we can help finance and bring that vision to life. So I'm always happy to have a conversation and hear back. So please
Huge.
don't hesitate to reach out as well. So pleasure to have the time and the energy to speak to you. I mean, it's super interesting, and you have such a good energy, my guy. So
Thank you, man. You too.
hopefully we can speak again. And if your community has any questions and they're more interested to learn about insights or some interesting tips that we can give them, I'll be more than happy to jump at any moment. It's been a pleasure.
Hey man, we're me and Maxim are around the same age. He's one of the youngest entrepreneurs I know in the space, So you already know we get along. We're good guys, and all the links are gonna be down below for you guys to get in contact with him, with his team, be a part of their community, meet a lot of like-minded people like yourself in their community, which is a great networking space to begin with. So I'm gonna link all that down below, man. Again, I appreciate you so much, brother, for jumping on the call today. I know he's super duper busy. It's even hard to find the time to align together because we're in different time zones, but we made it happen for you guys. So I hope you appreciate this. So much love to you, man, and what you guys are doing in the space. And then hopefully we catch him later on, man, next year. Thank you again,
Thanks, man.
brother.
Appreciate it. Bye.